Hello, my name is Jason Sleep. I am the Assistant Superintendent at Park County School District Number 1, and I'm going to be talking today about the remote learning plan from the district, which is also part of the reopening plan for the first day of school. This is one video in the part of a few videos that our district is going to be releasing. This is, however, my first video. I'm, to be honest, just a little bit nervous. Haven't done one of these videos before, but I know that we ask kids to do things sometimes that are hard and are uncomfortable. So if we can ask our kids to do it, I think I can ask myself to do it. So we'll see how it goes. So what I'd like to do is discuss our process for applying for the remote learning program. I also want to talk a little bit about vocabulary. There's some important terms that will define how we deliver the education to our students that are deciding to go remote. This also might have application if the health orders were to come down that would move us into a tier 2, which is a hybrid model, and tier 3, which would be closed like we were last spring. We clearly don't want to go back to tier 3, but in preparation, this could help us all if the pandemic takes a turn for the worse. The first two terms I want to talk about are synchronous and asynchronous instruction. First is synchronous. Synchronous instruction is real-time instruction. So you can imagine as a high school or middle school student going from period to period. Synchronous instruction happens as instruction happens. Students would zoom into the classroom. Period by period attendance would be taken, and kids would engage in learning just like they were face-to-face, but just off-site. So that's synchronous instruction. Asynchronous instruction is not real-time. It's not at the same place and not at the same time. Students can learn on their own schedule within a certain parameter of time, of course. And in both of our instructional modes, we expect kids to stay with the pace of the class. So that's maybe one difference than it was last spring with some of our courses. Some of the courses activities were assigned by week. This would be, the expectation would be day by day pacing with the course. So that kind of gives you our the two modes. Now, what we learned last spring is that, first of all, elementary students and high school students learn differently when you're in a remote mode of education. We are looking at two different ways of approaching this. So first, let me take elementary. Elementary is going to be a mix between synchronous and asynchronous. In speaking with the principals, we'll be looking at synchronous or real-time instruction for language arts and math. And then we would shift to asynchronous instruction for social studies and science. So those are the two differences. The learning management system at the elementary level is Google Classroom, which is the same as last year. And so work and materials, everything would be accessed through that platform. Secondary is going to be using a synchronous model. Like I explained in the example, kids would be going and attending their courses virtually, period by period throughout the day. Everything that applies to a regular school setting will also apply to the remote setting. Students are going to be held to attendance policies, eligibility policies, everything that we face in a school. We're going to try to keep it as normal and as routine as possible. One thing we found at the secondary level from the surveys we got from parents, students, and teachers last year is even though the secondary level is on the same learning management system, which is Canvas, not all courses are the same. Courses range on the spectrum of very straightforward, simple to pretty complex. So this year we would like to open up the secondary in a more of a standardized template. So every student, every parent would have the same navigation for every course. Doesn't mean the learning activities will be the same, as they should be different. But the same place where you get your activities for instruction, get your homework, get your announcements, everything would be on a single page. So that's a big difference from last year, and that came a lot from our learning and from the surveys and from the teachers as well. So we're excited about that. Also with the secondary instruction, there's going to be more of a day-to-day intentional communication, and that communication will all occur through Canvas. So I know we were hearing from parents that they didn't know where the instructional or the teacher was going to communicate to their student through. And so there is a communication piece within Canvas, and we'll be using that as our mode of communication. So that kind of gives you an idea of the elementary and secondary approach for remote learning instruction. Now for the process. If you are interested in going remote learning for the school year, which we hope is only temporary for this year, and we also realize that some parents will choose this because they have health concerns or just things that are outside their control, which we also want to be sensitive to. But we also realize that face-to-face instruction is the best instruction. So if parents have made a decision that their student needs to go remote instruction, we would ask that you would contact your school, that you'd let them know that you're interested. What you can expect from the school district is your principal will make contact with you, provide you with an application, ask you some simple questions, and then as soon as you return that application, the principal and a team would look at that application. And the application is not an extensive application, but it does ask important information like, is your son or daughter on an IEP? Are they on a 504? Do they have an English language plan? Do you have internet at home? Are parents going to be home? Just some basics so that we know how to understand the structure of the remote learning program. The other part that it's important that parents know is when making a decision if we're going to go remote or not, we're also, with a certain student, we're also considering if we can deliver some of these services. For instance, if a student has a 504 which requires different accommodations that we can't provide remotely, then more likely that's going to cause us to have a discussion with you to discuss different options for that. So that's what we're going to be gathering from the application. That's what the team will be making a decision on. After the team makes that decision, they'll contact the parent and tell what the decision was. If the decision is to move forward with remote instruction, you can expect a contract to come home. We ask that the students and the parents read it, so everybody knows what their role is in remote instruction. The district also has a role in that, so that we can make our kids successful. There are, if the decision is not to provide the remote instruction, the principal will contact you, and then discuss options of how to educate your son or daughter during this process. Some of the options are that they're up to the parent. We respect the parent's decision. Some parents may want to homeschool their kids. Some may want to unenroll them from our district and send them to a virtual school. We understand. We're just trying to make sure that the kids are successful in this process. Another thing that we're considering too is, as the student is in remote learning, we're just going to monitor to make sure that they're staying on track, that progress is being met, they're attending courses. Usually it's around 5 days. If we don't have any kind of contact with students, we'll set up a meeting and then make a determination if we want to move farther with remote instruction or recommend face-to-face instruction. So that's kind of our process. Also, if we move forward with remote learning, we're looking at bringing parents in, assigning a Chromebook, a laptop to them so that they can have a device to access the instruction. Tentative date, well, the date to start this is going to be the second day of school, which is August 26th. We're going to keep the window for enrollment into remote education open for 2 weeks till September 8th. At that time, we'll shut down that window and move ahead with the school year. So that, I hope, gives everybody an idea of how we are going to be providing the instruction this year remotely. All of this information is located on our website at pcsd1.org. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call myself at the district office, email me. All my contact information is on the website. I'd be happy to talk to anybody that has any questions and take care of those answers. And I wish I had all the answers, but some of these things we're just kind of trying to figure out as we go. So I wanted to thank you for your time, and hope to see you soon, the first day of school.